Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Adam Everett Miller with AEtuts.com, and today what we're going to be doing is creating an effect that you can see here on websites like JibJab.com, and I know they did that. This is kind of where it became popular, but you know, I've seen it on like South Park and some other cartoons as well, and it's not an overly complicated effect, but it is just cool, and usually the generated effect is pretty humorous. So first thing you need to do, step one, is you need to do a photo shoot with your friends. So let's do that. Now when you're taking pictures with your friends, try to kind of tilt your head down a little bit so that there's actually a solid cut line around the chin so that your neck doesn't blend right into your chin. That'll just make it easier when you bring it into Photoshop. All right, awesome. Now, step two, we need to bring it over into Photoshop, and we need to cut the face out. Cut around the perimeter, and you can just do this with the lasso tool. And I shot on a green screen here, but you know, you don't have to do that. I just did it for convenience because I had it available. But you want to trim around the outside and get one layer totally separated with an alpha channel just of the head. Then separately go in, duplicate that layer, and trim out the jaw area. You want to cut that out, but make sure that it overlaps a little bit so that when the jaw is moving up and down, it's not going to, you know, just perfectly line up. You kind of want to have them overlap a little bit. There's a little bit of a safety room there that's created. And then with just having two layers, the face and the jaw, you can go ahead and save that as a Photoshop document, and that'll preserve the two layers. Alrighty, excellent. Well, the next part of the tutorial will bring us over here into After Effects. So let's go ahead and create a new composition. And I have a 1280 by 720. You can do whatever you want to. A duration of 17 seconds does not really matter. Well, let's bring in the images that we just cut out. Now, being that it's a Photoshop document, we have two layers. We could do merge layers, which is going to just give you it in its entirety. But let's go to choose a layer, and let's have face. We'll do one, and then we'll bring in the same thing and do choose layer and jaw. So now when we take both of these and drag them into the comp, we have a separate layer for both, right? Well, these are a little large, so let's scale them on down to make them workable. All right, perfect. And you can see that I can move it around and laugh. Okay. Well, the next part, I mean, and you can go through literally and you can animate this by yourself if you want to, but as I was playing around with it, that just got really annoying. So I was thinking, okay, how can I make it so that the jaw will animate to my own voice? So I have here just a little audio preview. Crank up the volume and hit period.
This is a test for AEtuts.com.
Man, that guy sounds like he's in love with his voice. I don't know who it is, but all right. So let's trim the comp, and selecting the audio, let's just hit L twice, and not really overly strong audio, but you can see the waveform of where it goes up, right? But that's fine. We can use that, even though it's not overly loud. It's kind of quiet. We can still use it. What we want to do is we want to right-click and say, go up to Keyframe Assistant and convert audio to keyframes. Now, what it's going to do is going to create essentially a null object which has a left channel, right channel, and both channels. So we can get rid of left and right channel, we'll get rid of these, and this is just basically a slider that you can see the value right here changing as we move across. That's just a slider. If you look at it in the graph editor, you can see it kind of simulates what the waveform would be, but it's not spot on. So anyway, we have that. I was going to mention really quick, I mean, I'm just doing a quick and dirty example for this. If you actually really want to get into some hardcore keyframe generating from audio, Satya's got an awesome little preset that you can throw in this tutorial on AEtuts. I think it's like the 6th or 7th page back, creating a sound reacting 3D waveform animation without third-party plugins. Go on here and download this preset, the spectrum analysis thing, and test that out, because if you apply that with this little JibJab thing, I think you could generate pretty much a perfect looking JibJab animation. So a little plug for him. He spent a lot of time on it, so it's pretty impressive. All right, so let's hit U to bring up the autograph mode. What we want to do is here we have it. Let's right off the bat, let's take this null object and let's bring it right down to the jaw. Okay, and then from there we want to take. Well, let me just explain what happens here. This is interesting. You hold down Shift and P, which is going to bring up the position. Alt or Option click, which will allow you to pick whip up to the slider. Okay, and now it's going to take the position of this little null object and parent it to the slider. And so what's going to happen here is as the waveform moves, it's going to wiggle, but it's affecting both the X and the Y axis. So it's kind of moving at an angle here. Well, to solve that, and there's another problem that we'll get to in just a second, but to solve that, what we want to do is let's get rid of this, completely undo everything that we just did, okay? And you come over here to your effects and presets and you just start typing separate. You want to separate the X, Y, and Z, whatever you call them, amounts, positions, that works too. If you separate these, what that'll do is it'll allow you to move them individually. So now you're not just doing the position in its entirety, but you can move them individually. And so what we want to affect is the Y-axis. So let's Alt or Option click on the Y, and that'll bring us our pick whip, and then we can take just the Y and attach it to the slider. Okay, and so now we can see that it is kind of moving up and down a little bit, but you'll notice that it's pretty stinking weak, right? Remember that the waveform itself wasn't that strong, so it kind of makes sense that it's just kind of, you know, barely going up and down a little bit. What we can do is we just take this effect. I'm not good with expressions, but I do know one thing. If you hit little star, which is the same as the 8 key, that just means multiply, so you can multiply it times whatever, let's say times 20, right? So that just takes whatever the effect is and then does it 20 times the amount. Well, this is going to generate a crazy effect. I mean, that's just way too much. So let's knock it down to, let's say, just 3, okay? So whatever the result is, it's going to multiply it and do it at almost like 300%. Okay, well that's a little bit better, and that also can be, you can invert it and do, or if it's really bad, you can do times 0.5 or something like that. If you're getting, the position is really going, you can actually dumb it down a little bit by multiplying it times, like 0.6 or something like that, or 0.5. That's going to cut it in half. So then now it's half of the position value alteration. But anyway, back to 3. Let's do that, and let's see. That's going to be a decently appropriate amount for the jaw to move. Okay, let's bring it back to the beginning, bring it up, and I'm just going to clean this up really quick. Jaw and face, and call it source, and lastly, null. Okay, well then let's take our jaw and we'll parent it to the null, making sure that it's starting, flush. And so let's take it and parent it to the null, and then LL, just so we see where we're going. Now we have ourselves a reacting jaw. So I'll go ahead and do a little RAM preview really quick.
This is a test for aetuts.com.
Pretty sweet, huh?
This is a
it goes right with the waveform. Now you are going to notice this, and this is why I'd mentioned Satya's preset. You're going to get a little bit of wiggle here, just because if there's ambience, I mean, wherever you're recording, if you're recording outside and there's like a car honking in the background, well then the mouth is going to move with the car honk. So with that, it might take some tweaking, going in there manually, or with his preset, I'm sure that you can get exactly what you want as far as the keyframe that it's going to generate. But again, very basic explanation of this concept. Okay, so we have that. Well, next thing we need to do is we need to put it onto a body. So let's just select all of these and hit Control-Shift-C, or you can go Layer, Pre-Compose, and pre-compose it. Moving all attributes into the new comp, we'll call this Head. Okay, and then we want to hold down Y and move our anchor point to about the middle of the chin. All right, and let's see. Let's go over here, and I have a pretty basic body. It's a soldier body. I'll scale this down. I was looking for the most photorealistic version of my body, and this is obviously what I came up with. Yeah, well, let's do this. Let's bring this down a little bit and scale it, and we'll pop it right up on top. Okay, it doesn't look perfect. For the sake of this, we'll create a new solid and make the color look just like the background and drag it below. Okay, and then we'll take both of these guys and center them. Oops, right over there. Okay, so now we have a moving thing, but we're noticing a problem. What's the problem? The problem is that there's no back to his mouth. We're dealing with an alpha channel here, so what we need to do is go back into this comp. If you're on CS4, I think you can just hold on Shift and double click. It'll do that. Otherwise, it should be up here. You can just double click there. What we need to do is let's create a new solid really quick. We'll make it black, or you can make it red. Do whatever you want to do, whatever you want the inside of his mouth to be. And let's just lower the opacity down to, I mean, you can do it down to 0. We'll go in and then create a mask. Just at its peak point, wherever the mouth is as broad as it's going to be, that's all that you really need to do. And we will go ahead and mask that area, right? Okay, well then we bring the opacity back up again, hitting T all the way back up to 1, and then we drag it behind everything else. Okay, now when we come over here to the first comp, we're going to have ourselves a nice inside of the mouth that won't be distracting, because otherwise it looks like we ate a G.I. Joe. So we have that. So then to animate it a little bit more, just so that it's not this stagnant thing, what we can do is just hit R, which brings up the rotation, and we'll add a little wiggle to that. Let's just say wiggle 5, 10, or 15. Let's try that. We don't want it to go crazy wiggling, but this is just a little bit to do that. I mean, maybe that's even too much. I don't know, 10. You know, obviously with wiggle every time, you know, you just want to feel it out and see what you're dealing with. So then let's just do a quick little preview of that. Let's see what we got.
This is a test for aetuts.com.
Okay, it looks like I'm having a seizure, so let's just kill that down. I'm just going to go 2 and 3. All right, let's try it one more time.
This is a test for aetuts.com.
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. So that's the basic concept. You know, you can apply this to anything you want to, but I don't know. I just had fun with it. So step 1, photo shoot with your friends. Man, this is totally something you guys could do as like, you know, you got all those like e-cards and stuff like that, or maybe Mom's Day is coming up, Mother's Day, or you want to impress your girlfriend. I mean, you know, whatever. You take a picture of her, take a picture of you, cut your heads out, make sure to use this kind of a body for yourself. I mean, just trust me, it works. And you know, this would be great for just a short little, maybe a video for an anniversary or something. I'm gonna leave that up to you. But anyway, this is Adam Everett Miller with aetuts.com. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.